I want you to do is wherever you're watching this, we need to know, are you watching it live or are you watching the replay? So put hashtag live or hashtag replay. Why is this? Because if you have any questions or you got any comments and we know that you've already put replay, we know that we need to either get back to you, answer your questions, or we could even create a whole new video to answer your questions. So make sure that you're still interacting and putting your questions in the comments. That is super, super important. And what's also important is that you start tagging some people. So all the people in the Real Life Tribe, we got something super special for you tonight, by the way. Yeah, tonight, oh my goodness, if you are looking at increasing wealth, definitely freedom, building a business, if you're investing in property and you want to scale, tonight is going to be the one where you need to get your questions in. So let's start tagging some other people. So tag all the people that are in the Real Life Tribe. Yeah, and just tag anybody, because at least give them the opportunity that they want to come here and see what is going on, and then they can decide if they want to go back to watching Dead Enders or Procrastination Street or any of those other things that are possibly on TV, yeah, or the dreary news. The fake news. I think that's what it is, isn't it? Yep. Start tagging some people, because I'm going to tell you what, tonight is going to be an unforgettable night. And to be here live, well done. First of all, well done. So just pop a comment in. Let me know where you are. Are we? Yes, Justin. Yeah. So start tagging. I want to see. In fact, I want to see who can tag the most people. Who can tag the most people the quickest? Because the reason I want to do it the quickest, because we need to get enough people on here, because the special guest, which you probably know who it is from the page and people who have been following, has been a great teacher, a great mentor, and a great friend over the past few years. And in fact, all the stuff that you guys have benefited from in real life has come or originated somewhere where this guy's, forced me, literally at some points, physically forcing me to get out of my old way of operating so that we can design, create, and deliver the most life transformational experiences, coaching, and training so that we assist people to live those 5 freedoms. So let me know which freedoms you want. Do you want financial freedom, physical freedom, mental freedom, emotional freedom, spiritual freedom? Which one? You tell me. You put it in the comments and you tell me. Yeah, so this guy has built many businesses, created awesome life transformational programs, and facilitates trainings and growth in companies, in individuals all over the world. And I'm sure is absolutely super excited to be able to start traveling again. Maybe, I don't know, maybe not the traveling part, but definitely the changing people's lives and transforming their lives. So guys, make sure that you tag as many people as possible and get your questions in. And I'm going to tell you what we're going to be talking about, but I want you to make sure you just give a round of applause in your own home for Blair Singer. Thank you so much for coming on the show over in America. Are we still on lockdown there, Blair?
What's that?
Are we still on lockdown there? Are you allowed out?
No, you're allowed out, but it depends where you are. Right now, it's kind of class warfare. Those that wear masks and those that don't wear masks, and they're fighting with each other. So it depends where you go.
Okay, well, thank you so much for coming on here. I'm totally honored to be on here and kind of siphon as much wisdom from you. I mean, I'm sure we could be on here not for hours, but for probably not days, but weeks, just talking about all of the things that are required to build people, build business, add value to society as well. So really, really what it is, I just want you to give maybe something that I maybe missed out, just so people know like what your experience is, so they know what type of questions to ask. Because really what we're talking about tonight is the success of teams and business. Yeah. Let's give some background so people know what to ask.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. First of all, I'm grateful to be on this on this call with you guys. And thank you for the great work that you've been doing. You know, when you said that I had physically wrestled you out of whatever state you were in, I don't know that I had to wrestle you too hard, but I do know that you have a great gift in your ability to study, in your ability to sell, your ability to build businesses, but most of all is your heart for teaching and for spreading the wealth around. I mean, you could do very well on your own as an investor. I know that. And but you've got what I call the heart of a great teacher that wants to spread knowledge to other people. So thank you for doing that. And thank you for having me here. You know, you and I talked the other day about, and everybody wants to make a lot of money. I want to make a lot of money. I want to make a lot of money. But you know what? You know, money is a byproduct. Certainly you got to have a plan. Certainly you got to know what you're doing. But you know what? I say that your number one asset, if your number one skill, by the way, is your ability to sell, you know, to sell property, to sell people, to sell people on your ideas, to sell commodities, whatever. If that's your number one skill, your number one asset is your team or the people that you surround yourself with. I mean, you and I both have surrounded ourselves with people that we should have drop kicked out of our lives a lot sooner, but we didn't for whatever reason. And it hurt us. Not that they were bad people, just they were not the right people for whatever your purpose is. And over the years, you know, I've written several, some of you guys might know that I've written 3 best-selling books on sales, team development, little voice mastery. I work with Robert Kiyosaki, and I've been best friends for over 40 years. But I'm just going to say this is that if I take a look at every dilemma, every disaster that I've been through, and if you're an entrepreneur, you've been through them yourself, and there will be more to come, that the one thing that has always bailed me out has been my team. The one thing that has always pushed me through and allowed me to scale my ideas has been a great team. And by the same token, not having a team or having the wrong people actually would put me in reverse gear. So I think it's something that most people don't talk about. You know, I just want to invest. I just want to sell. But the true wealth, people that have true wealth know how to pull people together. We were talking about it earlier. Napoleon Hill calls it masterminding, right? You and I were talking about that earlier. And but a lot of people are afraid of other people, or they don't feel they don't feel they've earned the right to talk to other people, whatever it is. So that's why I was glad to come onto the call today to share answer whatever questions people have around that.
Good. And it's awesome to have you here. And thank you for those kind words. I mean, people are putting hashtag little voice mastery. I don't know if you can see the comments. I think why that is, I don't know if the sales on that book went up, Blair, since, you know, I started teaching, because I always have it on the stage. Yeah. I always have it on the stage. I always show them.
That's right.
And I always point them to, I say, I'm not selling this. I mean, that's crazy for that to come out of my mouth, right? I say, I'm not selling this. This one's mine. But if you want to buy it, you can go, you know, go online.
Yeah, you know, and thank you for doing that. You know, little voice mastery. What do we say? Number one skill is sales. Number one asset is team. Your number one liability is your little voice. That's because if not, like I said, we talk about teams. You know, if you don't have a team, if you don't have a group of people, it's me, myself, and I. That's your team, and that's psychosis. So, the ability to talk yourself out of good ideas, to allow fear to infiltrate the things that you're trying to do. If you don't have the ability to stop that, you will fall into the great, I call it the great abyss. You know, we're going into a global depression. I believe, Robert and I both believe we're going into a global depression. But depression is a state of mind. Great fortunes are built during depressions. And that's why little voice mastery is critical. And by the way, if you have people around you, you want to make sure they're engaged in it too. Otherwise, they can take you down with them.
Yeah, definitely. And I think it's being blind to that, which I was for many years. I truly believe like it was everybody's else fault. It was the economy. It was my boss. It was the person on the building site. And I actually, like, something clicked. We were talking about it before. I was like, something clicked. It's like teams. It's about teams. So question is, Blair, like, what advice do you have around all the lessons? Because we were talking like we're similar, right? Sometimes we have to be like, hit at the side of the head a few times before we actually learn the lesson, Right. But for me now, I'm like no team. That's my worst nightmare. Like no team, no people to be around, to brainstorm, to get through whatever challenges come up. Just to discuss it. So, what advice do you give to people who may still be working long hours? Really putting a good shift in, but they're staying very small just because they're still doing it by themselves?
Yeah, well, that's a great question. I wish I had the magic answer for that, but I think that we're trained to do that. You go to school, you're taught to do things on your own. You're taught that collaboration is actually cheating in school. And we've learned you got to be your best, be the best, be the best, be the best. And so we're continually paranoid that we're not good enough, that we're not the best, we're not the fastest, we're not the smartest. And so what happens is person's self-concept goes down, your performance goes down because you don't feel like you measure up. And you and I talked about it before. I think that as an entrepreneur, after all these years, I have learned that I am not that smart. I have learned that I am functionally incompetent in most things. I have learned that by myself, I can be psychotic, moody, mood swings up, mood swings down. And I've learned that, and I'm okay to admit it now to the world and to let people know that the secret to anything great that you're going to do, whether it's to build a family, to build a business, to build an investment portfolio, is going to require good people around you, even not just for the skill set that they have, which is critical, but for the mindset that they have. You and I talked earlier that Franklin Delano Roosevelt back in the 1933 said, the only fear we have is fear itself. And if for no other reason, have people around you that can talk you off the ledge, that can give you some confidence, that can kick you in the ass when you need to be kicked to come out of procrastination. People ask me, what's it like to be a rich dad advisor with Kiyosaki? And I tell people it's a pain in the ass. It's a royal pain in the ass because we have agreements between each other. We're not going to let each other off the hook. If we're not living up to our expectations of ourselves, then somebody is going to remind you about it. And if you've done something out of line, you're going to get called out on it. And that's the kind of life I choose to have, because there's a lot to be done, and there's a lot of things that I want, and I want for my family. And if it's left only up to what I got between my right ear and my left ear, it just ain't going to happen. So if you just look at the odds of all that, so if you're right, the one last thing I say about it is this whole lockdown quarantine stuff that we've been going through for the last 6-8 months. I think it's proven how devastatingly bad it is to be alone. The one thing that they're not talking about in the pandemic, in this global pandemic, they're not talking about the mental, emotional, psychological damage that's been going on of people that have been isolated and quarantined. I've seen evidence myself. I have an 89-year-old mother who's in a home and she's not even allowed out of her room, and she's dying. She's dying not because she's physically ill. She's dying because we as human beings crave connection. And so what's happening is that I think that for nothing else than your own self well-being, you talked about financial wealth, you talked about spiritual, emotional, mental, physical health, right? All those things. And I think that the connection with other people, learning how to communicate, learning how to connect, and the one thing that you guys have learned how to do in your business is if you know how to communicate and you know how to connect, your cash flow goes up. And if you don't know how to communicate, and if you don't know how to pull people together, your cash flow goes down. It's pretty simple.
Yeah, absolutely. And, it's funny you say that about the connection and the building the teams, because while you were saying that, I was just thinking, what stops people? What is it that stops people? And it is the fear. And so what would you say to people? Because, for those people that are a little bit more advanced around building teams, you got to have a set of rules. Yeah. Like, you call it code of honor. So you got to have a code of honor, a set of rules of how people are going to play with you, on the team. Like you say, you and Robert, you keep each other to a high standard, and it's agreed up front. Right. So when that little voice and the emotion comes up. But so what advice you have around that? Number one, if people are not setting rules, and that's a big, big problem. What about people who got rules and people are still not playing by them? And in the heat of the moment, even gracefully calling someone on the rules, but yet still the heat is so hot right there that it's almost like, no. Like, what do you do in that situation?
And in that point, it's too late, right? So you said it right up front. You said these are rules you agree to up front. Okay, so when you're bringing somebody onto your team, even if it's a contractor, even if it's a banker, even if it's a lender, even if whoever it is, you got a certain you have your own values of how you do business and a couple of rules that you're going to operate by. Like, first of all, for example, no blame, no justification. Everybody takes personal responsibility. That's number one. Agree. Okay. Second thing is that we always look to a solution. There's no blame. We look to the solution for the problem. Okay. We go direct with each other. We keep our agreements, whatever that little set of rules are, and you make sure that you get the agreement up front. Then when you're in the heat of the battle and somebody breaks the rule, which we all do because we're human, not because we mean to, but we do, then you have the ability to go back to the code of honor, to the rule, and say, look, hey, hold on a second, time out. We agreed that we agreed to keep our agreements, okay? And you said you're going to do this, and twice you haven't. What do we got to do to make this happen? That now you have some leverage. But if you haven't set the rule up front, somebody doesn't keep their agreement with you. They don't deliver. They don't deliver a report to you on time or whatever it is. You start jumping on their case. Then now you just got to fight because there was no prior agreement. This is the rule. Here's the rule of thumb anyway, and that is you cannot enforce rules that a person doesn't know about. You can't enforce a rule that a person didn't agree to. So if they don't know, well, they should already know. It's common sense. It's common sense to you. It's not common sense to them. Everybody, so the code of honor, and that's one of my books is Team Code of Honor, is step by step about how to do this in your family, for yourself. I always say to people, it's funny when I talk to people, I ask them very weird questions. I go, do you work out? What do you do in your spare time? I'm probing around. I want to see if they're disciplined, if they have their own rules. Because if you have rules and you don't keep your own rules, why would I want you on my team? You know what I'm saying? But a lot of people don't. They drift around. They don't have definite purpose. They don't have a set of rules. And there's a lot of reasons for that we don't have time to get into here. But let's just go to the solution. Solution is you need a team. Solution is you should be clear on your own set of core values. What's important to you, like knowledge, personal development, wealth, health, whatever's important to you. And surround yourself with other people that have the same values, and make sure that the tighter you are as a team, that we operate by rules that support those values. I mean, that's simply said. It's not as easy to do, but it's pretty simple.
Yeah. So what tips do you have for, let's say people may have already started to engage in, partnerships, or they're starting to build teams, or what's wonderful about property, and I've said this to you before, it's the easiest business I've been in. And why? It's because everything is already there. Like I don't have to I don't have to go and recruit you know, off a job site or something. It's like the teams are all like this team, like builder teams, you know, brokers, the councils are there, all like everything is already there. So what about people who've already started to engage? What advice you have around, okay, they've probably they've not agreed anything up front. Now, when problems, you know, and challenges occur, and I want to know that because people ask me this question, Blair, so I know the answer. You know, they're like, yeah, but now they're not delivering. So what do I do now? And I'm like, well, what was the agreement? It's like, well, there wasn't an agreement. I'm like, so what's the answer to that?
Well, it's a tough situation, but we all have to deal with it. So my suggestion, call timeout. Just call timeout. You know, if you're in the middle, trying to negotiate right and wrong and rules and no rules when emotion is running high is not a good idea, because emotion's high, intelligence low, nobody's thinking logically. You talk about rules and values in a sane moment. So the thing to do is to, you know, you said you deliver, you're not delivering. Okay, stop. We need a timeout. Let's go have lunch. Let's have a conference call. Let's sit down. We just need to have a little bit of a timeout. Why? We just got to get back onto square one. What's our objective together? What are we trying to do? Well, we're trying to do real estate deals together. Okay, got it. Okay, so we're trying to develop property. Okay, got it. All right. So what are the most important things that we do? What are the most important values? Honesty, yeah. Okay. Doing what you say, yeah. Okay, good. We all agree. Because most people agree to those things in a sane moment. Say, okay, so going forward, then what are our rules? Our rules are, if you can make an agreement, keep the agreement. If you can't, let somebody know right away. Agree? Agree. Okay, let's go direct. In other words, if you got a problem with me, just come tell me. Don't be telling my wife. Don't be telling my friends. Don't be telling other people. You got a problem with me, and if I got a problem with you, we deal with each other. We don't hang our dirty laundry out to the public, okay? How about that? Yeah, good. Stuff like that. Because if you're dealing with a good person, which I'm assuming many of you are, in a sane moment, most people will agree to that. Then when you go back into the situation and the stuff comes up, you say, remember that conversation we had? Yeah. Okay, now you got a better chance of gaining a correction, because the value is not getting the property deal done. The value is not developing the portfolio. The value is who you and your teammates become in the process of learning how to be a team. I'm going to say it again. The true value of doing this is not about the money you're going to make, because you'll make the money. It's about who you become in the process of living up to your own standards and to the standards of others. That way we all get better, because as COVID-19 rolls across the planet, as global depression crashes across the planet, the question is, are you as Mark, as you would say, are you in the best physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, and financial health to deal with it? Because those are the people that do will become very rich. The people that don't will become very poor. And that's basically what it boils down to.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
Yeah. So okay. So when we're dealing with team situations, it's good to make sure we're agreeing things up front. If we haven't, we time out and take a few steps back. What can like an individual do? Let's say, you know, I might get heated. Someone else might get heated. What can an individual do just for themselves? You know, because like you say, in a sane moment, that's the best place. You got to be in the right place yourself. You know, if you're shouting this and you're bringing up the past and this happened and that happened, like what can people do themselves, even if everyone else is, you know, going crazy?
Well, the same thing, actually. I mean, you got to take a time out yourself. No, seriously, I've done it many times. I've done it many times where I'm in the middle of something. I'll go, okay, stop. I need 5 minutes. And they say, well, you need 5 minutes. I need 5 minutes because anything I'm going to say in the next 3 minutes is going to be the wrong thing to say. I know that, right?
Yeah. When you said time out,
Mark, have you ever said something have you ever made a good decision or said anything productive when you were angry? Have you ever done that?
No.
No,
No, no,
no,
no, no, no.
nobody does. Nobody does.
I imagine when you said time out, what was funny is I imagine like people taking them. I don't know if you do this in America. Do you have the children sit on the step?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
I just imagine people having a time out and taking themselves to the step.
Well, whatever you got to do, just, but sometimes, it's not practical all the time. Say, look, I need 5 minutes. I need to step out of this negotiation for a second and cool down, get my thoughts together, because anything I'm going to say in the next 5-10 minutes in this state is not going to be productive. And I just tell people that, and people are okay with that. The other thing is I think that you and I both know, you and I've talked about this before, and with my tribe, our Blair, our training academy folks that are all over the world, great trainers and coaches, and that we all subscribe to what I call sacred time. Sacred time, and that is that every day before you start your day, you have a set of rituals and routines that that prepare you for the day. Some meditation, some gratitude, some reflection, some reading, some scribing, a bunch of whatever it is for you, but a time where you get yourself centered so that the first thing in the morning, you're not checking a text message. So the first thing in the morning, you're not responding to the world dumping things on you. You take control of that so that those out of control moments don't happen so often. Because we all know it's not the experience, it's not what's happening, it's your perception of what's going on, your anger, your emotion. So those are two things that you can do.
Yeah, because one big thing going through building businesses, building sales teams, especially training other people, was the whole I'm working with you, I'm working with other coaches. It was the whole turning it around, like looking on me. What am I doing? Like, why when that person does that, why does that make me angry? Yeah. And for me, and I always look to get, like, if I can get people to look at it from this perspective, things start to move quickly. Like, because for me, it's like, well, as soon as I realized that actually anything that I'm looking at someone else, like, oh, I don't like what he's doing, I don't like what she's doing, it's actually something about me that I don't like, or it's the way I'm operating that I don't like. Yeah. So what advice do you have for people to help them, realize this, or at least, discover what their next move is to deal with that?
Well, you're talking about the Holy Grail. That's the Holy Grail. The Holy Grail, the one thing that I learned back in 1980 something, that the one thing in common with all the mistakes I'd made, money I'd made and lost and everything, the one thing in common was me, which I think most all of you can understand, that we are our own worst enemies. But when I really understood that, if you really listen to what Mark just said, it's very, very wise. What he said is that what is it about that person that's getting me upset? Not why did I allow that person into my life? That's still blame. Okay. Oh, I'm taking responsibility. I let him into my life. It's beyond that. You want to take real responsibility? What he said. What is it about me that gets upset when that person does that? Now, so for example, if my son's 18 years old. This is a good example. My son's 18 years old, and he's kind of a wise ass a little bit, so he talks back, stuff like that. Now my wife gets infuriated. I mean, she just comes unglued. She gets disrespectful. I think it's kind of funny. So here's the same situation, two people looking at the exact same situation, but two people responding completely differently. What's the difference? It's not the experience, because the experience is still the same. What's different is your filter which you're looking at it. So what Mark said is that what is it about going on over here with me that gets so upset when you do that, or when that kind of a thing happens? Why does fear come up for me but doesn't come up for you? What's going on over here? So the secret, that's the Holy Grail. So what do? What Mark does, what I do, we use the same coaches. Actually, I have personal coaches, several of them that I work with. When that comes up, okay, what is it about me that gets upset when this is going on? And I'll find out that it maybe had to do with my past, old decisions, ways I've got stuff wired up in my brain that subconsciously I didn't even know about. Robert Kiyosaki and I call it our secret weapon. It is the secret weapon, and that is, we call it processing. Some people call it clearing, but finding good coaches that know how to help you, that know how to ask the right questions so that you can dig in here and get rid of the subconscious thoughts that are driving you crazy and sabotaging your best efforts. And the good news is, once you find out what they are, you never have to worry about that one again. There may be another one, but you want to think about that one again. And that's why you get richer, make more money, have bigger teams, have more scope. But most people just stay really small. And the reason is because they're kind of terrified of themselves. Oh, I'm not going to do that. I don't like that coaching. I don't like that kind of processing. Why? Why are they? What are they afraid of? They're afraid of learning something about themselves that they may not like. What's there not to like? You know, it's kind of like, have you ever screwed up? If you've ever screwed up, wherever you are, just nod your head. I can't see it, but nod your head or give a thumbs up. You ever screwed up? Okay, good. Have you ever done something you've been ashamed of? All of us. You have any skeletons in your closet, hanging in your closet? I got a whole cemetery in my closet. But I'm not afraid to talk about it, because I know that the more I look at it, the more I love myself, the more I have compassion for myself, and the faster I can grow. And why a person would not want to do that is the same person that refuses to train and work out their body, that agrees to continue to put garbage in their body and treat it like a garbage disposal rather than a temple. So you have to take a look at how you truly feel about yourself and whether you're willing to be the best you can be.
And since I moved to this place, was like May last year, you know, the driveway is long. It's like a mile long. So like when I take my bins out, I actually, every week, and I do a Facebook Live on this as well. I call it Mind Trash Tuesday, because I used to do it on a Tuesday, but now it's on a Wednesday. So now it's Mind Trash Tuesday, but on a Wednesday. And I use it because I sit on the back of the car with the boot open while someone else is driving, and I hold in the bin, and I do this Facebook Live. I'm just reminding myself and trying to spread the message that you got to clear this trash in your mind, you know? And I relate it to, like, it's the bin. Can you imagine if I didn't empty the bin? After a few weeks, that is going to be nasty. Yeah. And if you leave it in there a month, and you imagine how long people leave stuff up here for? Years. Can you imagine if I didn't empty my bin for years? So I use that as a reminder, and I'm looking to spread to as many people as possible. Like, you got to understand, you got to clear, you got to get this out of your head. That's
it. It's a great analogy. It's a great example. That's a great example. Yeah. You got to empty it out. And, but you know, you want to do it, but keep in mind, that's not something you do yourself. I mean, you can learn how to do some of it yourself for sure. But, you know, remember you're trying to clear your mind with the same mind that got you into trouble to begin with. That's not really smart. Okay. So you need somebody that's impartial, third party, knows what they're doing, and that has no ego in the game, has no vested interest in proving that they're smarter or better than you, that truly is there to support and to serve. And Mark and I have found some really good people to do that.
And, you know, we have a question that's kind of in line with this. So Matt Edwards is saying, you know, what can he use as a trigger to pull himself out of, like, either angry or stressful situations, you know, give him the time to think. And, you know, what was coming up then is the whole, like, when you said, it's not something you do by yourself. I mean, yes, there's things that you can do by yourself, but what I've realized, this has been my experience, is that my mind is so clever. It knows what to keep me away from. You know, so if I'm trying to figure it out by myself, my mind knows, no, yeah, that's, you know, you don't want to go there, and it takes me somewhere else. So I don't actually deal with what's getting triggered every time, you know, something happens, that emotional trigger, and that little voice that just starts running automatically. So where do we draw the line, Blair, from what can I do with myself, and when do I have to go get help?
Well, you know, there's a bigger answer to that, Mark, and that is, I think with COVID-19, when COVID-19 hit, it revealed cracks in the foundation of our health, of our wealth, of our happiness, our relationships, our teams. And I think that is a great opportunity for people to now spend the time to get educated, like what you're providing and this call and things like that. And so if crisis is change trying to happen. So the question is, what do I do when I get hit? Where do I go for help? Well, the problem is you're trying to go for help at the wrong time. That's the problem. Okay. In other words, it's like saying, I know I should be in better physical shape. I'm not working out. I don't eat that well, but I'm fine. But your body is trying to give you signs that you need to change, but you don't change until one day you're running up the stairs and all of a sudden, man, you're like lightheaded. Your heart is pounding out of your chest. You go, what the heck? You go to the doctor. Doctor goes, dude, you got high blood pressure. And, you know, a couple of your arteries are half blocked and you're diabetic. You need to do something. See, now you have a crisis. Now you're forced to change. So now you have to go for help. But the kind of help you're going to get at that point, whoever asked the question is not the same kind, is not that helpful. All it's going to do is put a Band-Aid on it. So what should you do? Well, you should go to a trainer every day, 3 to 5 days a week, train, work out, change your diet, get in the habit. So that then when something comes up, you've got a base to operate from. Okay. If you're going, well, I'm just going to wait until the next time that something blows up in my face. What do I do? Where do I go for help? Well, good. I gave you a few things. You call a timeout, listen, go for a walk, do something. But in the meantime, the most important thing you could do is make a commitment that say, look, I'm committed to my wealth. That's why I work with Mark. I work with Mark Harvey because he's my mentor and I'm committed to making it in this business. So I show up for these calls on Money Mondays and Trash Wednesdays or Tuesdays or really Wednesdays or whatever those are, right? And so, but I'm committed to doing that. Do the same thing for your mental and emotional health. I mean, I can't emphasize this enough. I have a guy by the name of Mac Newton. Mac Newton, 2-time world champion in Taekwondo. Okay, he's Super Bowl ring, World Series rings, one of the greatest conditioning coaches on the planet. He's my coach. He coaches some of the greatest athletes in the world. I'm no athlete, but he's tough on me. And he's my little voice, one of my little voice coaches for my physical health too. And I can't even imagine not working with him if I want to operate at the level that I want to operate at. So you got to make a commitment. If you want to make a commitment to your life and into the areas that Mark talks about, financial, physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual, make a commitment to it. And don't just like, oh, I got a problem, I got to deal with it right now. Okay. So my answer to that is that the next time that happens, make a commitment at that point. I'm going to get a coach and I'm going to start working. I'm going to work out twice a month, once a month, 3 times a month, whatever it is, on my little voice and get it handled. You will become rich. In combination with what Mark's teaching you about money and property and investing, and that you'll be unstoppable. Unstoppable.
Yeah, and that's what we've seen. That's what you teach, and you brought to light for me the combination of because what's funny is I don't even think this is a question. Someone Pavlina has put, Mark, these are really life questions. But when I seen it, I was thinking, oh yeah, we were talking about teams. What we're talking about now. But actually, it is still super relevant because what's funny about property investing and why a lot of people struggle is because they're so fixated on the technical aspect of what is it I do. I buy a property, I get lending money, and that's all important. But the true beast of whether you're going to make it or not is, what goes on in your mind? Can you deal with it emotionally? What comes up? Like, are you actually wait until it gets so bad and you're in such an emotional stress, like you just can't make decisions. You can't communicate with your team. You can't communicate with, you can't set deadlines. You can't negotiate. There's no way that you can influence people because you're just a wreck. And people wait till they get to then. And then like you're saying, Blair, people are like, oh yeah, now I need to go figure it out. But actually, if we maintain ourselves, because some people, I don't have any bones about it. I'm always recruiting. I don't try and say, yeah, whatever. I'll always offer people the next level, the next step. There's not any time I will never do that. I always want to do that.
Right.
Yeah. And the point is, because it's like people say, yeah, but Mark, when is it done? Is there some more training after this? Is there more? And I'm like, you know what? Even if there's not, I'll make some. We'll just create. Yeah, and you taught me that. We'll just create the next thing, because there's always going to be another challenge. There's always going to be another layer of crap that we run into. So people say, when is it done? I'm like, it's never done. I'll only just stop working on it, or you'll only just stop working on it. So I think actually that I'm not sure it's a question, but kind of thinking, well, this stuff, taking care of yourself, being a leader, is a key component to how you're going to build the team.
Well, it is.
Because I heard
it is, and in this day and age, going forward, it's even more. It's more critical. Like I was saying earlier, your emotional stability going into different situations is critical, and you don't want people on your team that are not engaged in, at least interested in, becoming emotionally stable as well, because then you're going to spend all your time trying to coach them. So, and again, these coaches, the lenders, the coaches, the physical coaches, the emotional coaches, these are all part of your team. It's your team of advisors. You have different circles of your team. You have your immediate, your core team, and then you have, your advisory team, and then you have your coaching team, and so all of these work in synchronicity together to help you be the best that you can be. And if all that were taken away from me, I'd be in a world of hurt. I mean, that's the truth. And I think that, like I said, with all the quarantine stuff, I think we all learned how connected we all really want to be and need to be. So there's a team out there for everybody, and they're waiting for you. You just got to be willing to get out of your own way and ask for support.
And I think the components, the steps, and the personal development required for building teams is either just totally not known by people. It's probably misunderstood as well. And also, I heard Gary Vaynerchuk. He said, one of the biggest problems a CEO makes is he thinks that the people work for him. But it's actually the other way around. He works for them. And he's saying, he was passionate about it. He was like, until you get that in your head, you work for them. And I think that is actually the problem when people get it the other way around. Like, hey, you work for me. This is my company. I'm doing this. I created this or whatever. And try and direct people from that space. That's when, it's all over the place. So,
it's ego driven, right? And so when the fastest way to blow up any relationship and blow up any team is to let ego get in the way. And what I mean by ego specifically is the need to be right, the need to do it my way, the need to be seen as better than, the need to want and have more than somebody else. That's what there's lots of other definitions, but that's the ego in the way. And you're right. I mean, you're there. I would take it a step further, that a leader is not just there for the staff and for the team. The leader is there to keep the mission connected to what what we're all doing. Is to remind everybody, this is the mission that we, not me, that we agreed to go after. And because a great leader, we're going to be doing, you and I talked about, I'm going to be doing a webinar in a few weeks on this, but the idea is to be able to recruit the right people to be able to engage them in the right mission and have them there for the right reasons. Nothing worse than having people on your team that are on your team, but not for the same reasons you want them on the team or for their own agendas and stuff like that. So I feel pretty strongly about that. I like what Gary says, is that you're really there for the group, but I think you're also there for a mission and a higher purpose. And the leader kind of sits in the middle and makes that connection between the mission of what we're trying to do and who we are and who we want to become, and pulls them all together as into one unit.
Yeah. And that mission, I mean, everyone's going to have a little bit of a different definition of mission, but for us, design, creating, delivering life's transformational experiences, coaching and training to assist those people.
Right.
Yeah. To have, those freedoms, have that development in those areas, be stable, is probably a first step. Find stability, get out the chaos in those, those 5 areas. Right. But I know you had a huge influence on something that I stand by now in all the businesses I'm involved in. And sometimes I say it directly as well. I'm like, as much as my ego would like to think you are here for me, I know that's not true. Yeah, you're here for the mission, right. Which is to assist as many people to have this freedom, to turn this system around of, pile on top of all the crap that's there, rather than actually pull out the brilliance that's in everyone. And I think it's already got massive traction all across the world. And I've discovered, me coming across to you, Harv and all the other people in BSTA, like everyone's mission is kind of almost either dressed up or explained in their own way, but they all lead to the same place.
Yeah. Yeah. You talk to, it's a good point, Mark. I mean, you talk to just about any successful entrepreneur, and really it's not about the money. The money's important as part of the deal, but for almost every successful entrepreneur in almost every industry, it's to make a difference of some sort, is to improve the quality of life, or to improve a situation, or to make a difference in the world somehow or other, is first and foremost. And for people like you and I, we're in education. And so our missions are very, very similar. And so our goal is to empower as many people as we can to have the life they want to have, and for me, it's to create the best teachers, leaders, and facilitators in the world, like yourself, that will help entrepreneurs succeed. And so it's, and birds of a feather flock together. And all of you that are listening, whatever your mission is, your team is out there looking for you, because they have a similar mission in mind, but maybe nobody's articulated it for them yet. And that's how you actually, by the way, that's how you put dream teams together.
Yeah. I mean, all of the businesses, and I think it was very similar to you. I was seeing in corporate organizations that it was totally not getting, like, people were getting the opposite. People were getting everything they did not want. The feelings, they weren't getting the money they wanted. They wasn't having the fun, the joy. Definitely didn't have the time, the no flexibility, all of that stuff. And I was like, I gotta do something here. And I can remember being in very hostile corporate organizations, maybe just a little bit naive at the time, just burning through with, got to make them better. If I make them better, I know the results will be better, especially in sales, because so many people trying to be, fake, or, this kind of mirroring, stuff that people are taught, all the wrong stuff. And like, actually, if people are just be themselves, and move beyond this, ego or pretending or whatever. And then they just have some very simple strategies of not just throwing it on the client, actually ask them what they want. Quite simple. And everything changes. But then I realized, I was getting excited, wanting to train all these people and all these organizations, and people were only in the training because they wanted to, because they were told to be there.
Right.
because they're told to be there. And then when I was exposed to the world where like people leave their house on a weekend on their own expense and they want to be there, when I started seeing these people show up, the people who actually want to be there, the difference in results and, you know, their life and the changes was beyond, like, that's when I found, like, this is why I'm here.
That's right. What you did is, what you tapped into was a whole group of people that are all watching right now that at some level have raised their hand and say, I want to take responsibility for my life. I'm going to take responsibility for my life. I'm going to take responsibility for my results. I'm not sure how to do that yet, but I'm going to raise my hand and say, that's what I want to do. Whereas in businesses, a lot of times, not all, but a lot of times those people are relying on somebody else to take responsibility for them. Okay. And, you know, and whether they should or shouldn't, I don't think that's a great business plan for your life, is to rely on somebody else to take responsibility for you. I just haven't had good luck with that one. I've had much better luck doing my best to take responsibility for myself and the people, and to have similar people around me.
Yeah, and it is like, and I love the teams, and this tribe is a team, and all the people I met is a team in some respect. I mean, we got close knit teams, we got our, you know, central team, we got our core team, but then, you know, coaches, train, like, we all need all, like, people are thinking, yeah, who's in my team? Builders, you know, the coaches, the mentors, the facilitators, you know, the processors, like all of these people that can, the way I see it, this is just the way I see it, the way that as long as I can grow, if I keep growing, then, you know, these challenges or the falseness that I keep running into, and as long as I keep scraping that back, getting to the truth, that's a whole other episode and a whole other video. You know, that's a real life truth on Thursday. We have something that happens on a Thursday. Maybe we could come back for that. maybe
Thursdays.
Yeah, maybe we could get Robert on that. He's a guy of truth, right?
Oh yeah, whether you want to hear it or not.
Yeah. So that's the thing about taking the responsibility, and then the first move. What is the first move? I mean, if you want to build teams and you want to hear more from Blair, as he mentioned, there is a webinar, and I'm just going to pop the link in here now. Very simple. All you need to do is just take action and fill in the form. Yeah, and you get the details to be able to register for that. It's in a few weeks, Blair, you mentioned.
Yeah, we're going to do on September 30th. I'm going to do it's a free webinar, and because it is a real pressing issue right now. It's about how to build your number one asset, which is your team, how to recruit and build a money-making team, a team that can make money for you, with you, and to help build your future. And to just get down to like the 6 basic steps of how to find them, recruit them, set it up, code of honor, just step by step by step, so we can just get down and dirty on how to do that. So yeah, we're going to do that's free September 30th. I think it's at 8 a.m. Arizona time, which is going to be about 3 in the afternoon your time. So should be good. Invite as many people as you want, but it is your number one asset. It is your number one asset, and it's not only having a team, but getting your team to sell for you. That's the other piece that we're going to be talking about. How do you get other people to sell for you, even if they're not sales type people? How do you get them to help you generate income? So, because that's what you want to have, particularly in the property business, particularly as an entrepreneur. Because if all the sales and everything is left to you, you only have so much bandwidth. And that's just never going to work. I think that what happens is that we talked about earlier, a lot of people struggle and struggle and struggle. And right now, people are just looking, I just want to be able to create some stability in my financial life and some stability and security and some abundance going forward. And it's only going to happen if you know these steps of how to bring the right people around you and give them the right tasks and set the right rules.
And you know, because we have our weekly real life tribe mastermind that's happening at 8 o'clock. So these guys super excited, like, because they're going into another room, private room, where they're going to get all of that. But basically what you just said, I thought I would do this because, you know, you're American. I wanted to bring some, you know, dollars on here. But people are like chasing this stuff. People are chasing this stuff, and it actually makes them blind. You know, they actually go blind, and they're chasing the money, and they forget about, well, actually, if I want the money, I got to build a team. I got to build a business. I got to add value to somebody. You know, but then again, it's this whole, you know, saying it's one thing, making it happen is another thing. So I think the people who are going to join Blair on this training, definitely going to get deeper into this, like, because this is just what I feel, Blair. I just feel people don't feel that the team is important until they're successful. Then they're going to build a team. You know, when they say, yeah, when I've made the money, then I'm going to build the team. But the crazy thing is, it's totally, it's backwards. It's backwards. You know, you build the team, then you make the money.
That's right. And if your little voice is good, but I don't have any money, then that's all the more reason you need to know how to build a team. The best teams actually pay you to be on your team. Think about that. By the way, you know, that's what a franchise is, by the way, right? A franchise team is basically people or licensees actually pay you to be on your team. Now, you need to stop thinking like an employee and start thinking like an entrepreneur. Is how do I get the best people on my team even if I have no money? Remember, you were talking about the movie Jobs?
Yeah.
You know, tell that story.
Yeah, oh my goodness. Well, we were talking about what's the thing that holds people back from building teams. Yeah, and it's fear. And we talked a little bit about fear. And I said, I seen the film Jobs about, you know, Apple computers. And he was talking, him and Steve Wozniak was in a garage, and Steve Jobs came back and goes, we got a problem. And so, what's the problem? He said, how are we going to take care of all of our employees? And he walks in with like 3 or 4 people. And Woz said, Steve, I need to talk to you. Steve, we can't afford to pay these people. And he went, what? We can't afford to pay ourselves. But they're just the confidence.
That's right. And if that fear of not having money would have won, there would have never been an Apple computer. So the point is, it's not that whether you have money or not, it's your fear of, well, can I pay him? Can I not pay him? Can I offer value? Can I not? Don't worry about all that. I mean, the whole idea is if your mission's strong and if you've got a business plan that you put together, that you co-create with your team and you put together, you can have some of the best people on your team. They will forego income to be part of something bigger than themselves that's in their own self-interest sometimes. So that's a big part. I love recruiting people. I love recruiting people because I can't promise you money. But I can promise that if you're on my team, you're going to become the best version of yourself you've ever seen, and you'll make a lot of money on your own. And so, you know, if you're up for that, great. If you're not, this is not the right team for you. That's all there is to it. I don't want everybody on my team, and you shouldn't either. So anyway, we're going to get into that in a very big way. I'm going to give you I outlined 6 definitive things that you can take action on right away. So go follow the link, fill out the form, and we'll see you on that webinar.
Awesome. I'm going to put that in again. I think people are saying mastermind. So guys, real life try, you got to go get yourself ready to be on there. You'll find the link in the usual place. But thank you so much, Blair. I think we even had a comment earlier saying best Money Monday so far, hands down. So yeah, so thank you so much for coming on here, sharing your wisdom, and you know, just pulling the brilliance out of the subject of, you know, life, teams, business, and hopefully I think there will be people now inspired to go and do something, at least do something.
Yeah, at least do something. And being here is a great first step, so don't minimize that. But the reward for a job well done, just remember this, the way the universe works, the reward for a job well done is another bigger job. Just remember that. The minute you accomplish something and you get a win, The universe rewards you with a bigger job to do, if you ever notice that. And so be happy with that. Feel grateful for that, and just keep moving forward, and move forward with the right people that'll keep you moving forward.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for coming on here. Super, super value added. Make sure you guys keep asking questions and tagging whenever you're watching this, and we'll make sure that we get things answered or point you in the right direction at least. You know, we have a saying, I don't know if you see me say it, Blair, but we can never let the people forget this one thing. And that is that you must do the right thing for the right reason, because that is the only way that you're going to discover your true potential.
That's it. That's it.
So thank you, everybody. Awesome. Any last tips?
What's that?
Any last tips?
Last tip is to just commit yourself to getting better. Just commit yourself to a team, commit yourself to, you said, doing the right things for the right reasons, and not do it alone. No more me, myself, and I stuff. Make that commitment.
Yeah, awesome. If people do that and that's the only thing they do, life's never going to be the same.